Hi everyone, this is Bob Lazar. He's going to change the way you think about the universe, and yes, that is a massive claim, but there's a really good reason that I'm saying that. This guy used to work in Area 51 in a section called S4, Backwards Engineering Alien Spacecraft. If you'd like to find out more, it's coming up right after this. Okay, so let's get rid of these tinfoil hats for a second. I know this all sounds really crazy, but hold on a second, hear me out, or I guess hear Bob Lazar out. I've recently been reading Bob Lazar's book Dreamland about alien technology being held by the US government and a whole bunch of scientists working to backwards engineer alien spacecraft, weapons and propulsion systems. It's amazing how all this ties together, by the way, especially with some of the recent stuff coming out of the Pentagon. And that's a reliable source, if nothing else is. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you may have seen a video that I put out a while back called Why Are We Being Lied To? And it's all about why we're being lied to by those in power within specifically the American government. And it's hard to say how deep this goes and whether there are other governments involved too. But I suspect that at least some other authorities at least know about it, even if they're not directly involved in the cover-up. Now in this video I wanted to talk about some of the more amazing claims made by Bob Lazar and what kind of implications these claims of aliens, alien spacecraft, weapons and propulsion systems means to you and me. And it's both terrifying and really, really exciting. Before we get into exactly what the best claims are, in my opinion, and they're pretty astounding, so watch all the way to the end. But before we get to that, why should we believe Bob Lazar at all? Well, to start with, Bob said that he used to work at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Now this is a government agency, and the government who ran the lab, the US government, say that they have no records of Bob Lazar. But do they? Well, when he went on a tour of Los Alamos National Laboratory during a research project for this book, Dreamland, he demonstrated that not only did he know his way around the facility, but some of the people he claimed were ex-colleagues actually greeted Bob like an old friend. Why would they do that if they didn't know him? Is that enough to believe him?
Oh, no!
Okay, obviously not. So, what else? In the 1980s, Bob Lazar claimed that the American scientists in Area 51 were working with Russians.
Really?
Working with an ingot of something he called Element 115, which the American government denied even existed or was even possible. Now that's weird for a number of reasons. Firstly, that Russia was still locked in a Cold War with America until 1991. You can Google it. It's on Wikipedia. But secondly, nothing with an atomic number of 115 or 115 or 115 was said to exist. So, according to America, the official line in 1987 was that the team didn't exist, Bob Lazar didn't work with them, and Element 115 didn't exist, couldn't exist, and would never exist because it's physically impossible. Interesting. But most importantly, perhaps, America said in 1987 that they would never work with Russians. Okay, so Element 115 didn't exist and they couldn't possibly work with the Russians. We've got it. Now, we're getting a good picture. Where is that tinfoil hat?
Ice cream! Super genius!
Nowadays, anyone looking at the updated periodic table will know that Element 115 is indeed real. It's actually on the periodic table under the name Moscovium, but it's not naturally occurring, at least not on this planet. Remember, this was first documented by the discredited, non-existent quack, in inverted commas, Bob Lazar, back in 1987. Now, this is what Wikipedia has to say. Moscovium is a synthetic chemical element with the symbol Mc and atomic number 115. It was first synthesized in 2003 by a joint team of Russian and American scientists at the Joint Institute for Nuclear Research, JINR, in Dubna, Russia. So Element 115 not only exists, but also the Americans and Russians worked on it together, but in 2003. Weird. Now, that's not the only thing though, not by a long way. Bob Lazar said that he was backwards engineering an alien propulsion system and that he boarded an alien spacecraft that was held by the American government. He also said it wasn't the only one and that there were at least 8 of them being held in multiple hangars in the Nevada desert. Big claims indeed, and I'll get to what kind of propulsion systems they were in a moment because it'll blow your mind. Remember that the American government denied all knowledge of such things until the whole world was distracted by a pandemic. And yeah, I know that sounds bonkers, and I definitely need my tinfoil hat, but here's the thing. The American government have recently not only released a whole load of videos and records of what they call unidentified aerial phenomena, but they've also created a special military division, an alien investigation unit, if you like, an air force with the sole intention of investigating UFOs. Not only that, but the Americans have even admitted that they have... Hold on, this is going to be a big revelation. Are you sat down? The American government, the Pentagon no less, has admitted that they have, and I quote, off-world vehicles not made on the Earth. Yes, the official line from the US government is that they are investigating UFO sightings because they pose a credible threat to US security, and that they have an alien spacecraft in their possession. They've only admitted to one, but it's not too much of a stretch to think that they've got more somewhere in the Nevada desert, is it?
No!
Now, is it really unreasonable to put 2 and 2 together?
No!
Bob Lazar said this in the 1980s, for goodness sake. He's been vilified and dismissed, called a quack by everybody, by the official line of the American government for the past nearly 40 years. Poor guy. So, do the other governments know about this kind of stuff? Well, yes, we can probably infer that at least the Russians do, but there are also other governments that are firmly in the crosshairs for this too. I already spoke on this channel about the Honourable Paul Hellyer. He worked as the Canadian Minister of National Defence from 1963 to 1967. So yes, before Bob Lazar worked at Area 51, and that's important. Paul Hellyer talked about the Galactic Federation of Alien Species. The Galactic Federation of Alien Species, which, yes, sounds mental, until you realise that his comments were also echoed by Haim Eshed, former head of Israel's military space program, who also implicated other governments. So what about the creatures that fly these craft? Well, Hellyer says that these aliens walk among us, and some of these species are almost indistinguishable from humans. But apparently, once you know what you're looking for, it's obvious. Apparently. Perhaps that's why there's such secrecy about this stuff.
Oh my God!
For example, some aliens, according to Hellyer, dressed as nuns and visited the Las Vegas Strip on vacation. And yeah, I know that sounds far more Star Trek into Galactic Utopia than you might expect, but they do come with something of a warning. There are reports of alien spacecraft disabling nuclear weapons, missile systems, missile silos, and other anti-aircraft weaponry. Was that for their own protection or for ours? I don't know. There are reports of aliens working with the American government, and even Paul Hellyer himself says that there are close to 50 species, with at least 8 alien species on Earth, in far greater numbers than most humans would ever realise. So assuming that Bob Lazar's other claims are also true, and there's no actual reason to assume that they're not, because some of the things that have been discredited have since been proven to be true, what else did he say? Well, the propulsion system he claims to have worked on is based on the generation, transmission, and emittance of gravitational waves. He said that the work he did centred on a generator and emitter of gravity. It bent light, and now while prisms and fibre optic cables can control and redirect light, they do rely on internal reflection and refraction, but only gravity can bend it. Now more than that, Lazar claims that they were only ever allowed to work in pairs, and with very limited contact with anyone else. His work partner, called Barry, threw a golf ball into the anti-gravity stream and it arced up, and it hit the polystyrene roof tiles. Only two things could have caused a ball to arc upwards: an external force being applied to the golf ball, or gravity. Gravity is not strictly speaking a force, you see, it's the effect that it has on space-time. That is, that the ball keeps moving in a straight line, but the space is warped by the gravity, so the space and time bend around it. It's a small distinction, but I thought I'd make it. So what are the implications of this story? Well, number one, element 115 does exist, but the US said it was impossible at the time of Lazar's claims. Number two, Bob Lazar said that the USA and Russia were working on element 115 in 1987, but the same two nations apparently invented it in 2003. An interesting time dilation, but I'll get to that in a second. After denying it was possible for around 25 years, why did they bother trying to make something that they knew was impossible? Number three, why do Canada and Israel have the same tale to tell about a Galactic Federation of alien intelligences? Number four, the Americans have finally admitted UFOs are real and have been investigating them for a long time. Number five, if an alien race really did create this craft, and the American government said that it's not made on the Earth, who did it? Now, Bob Lazar actually has an answer to that one too. He said that the species that made this craft that he worked on came from a planet called Zeta Reticuli in a star system that does exist, 12 parsecs from Earth. That's about 39.3 light years away, by the way. So travelling at the speed of light, and nothing can except light, it'd take close to 40 years to get there, or here, from there. And we know that faster than light travel and light speed travel even isn't possible. But we do know that gravity can bend space-time. Now, if you can control gravity, you can control space. And if you can control space, you can control time. So bear in mind that if Lazar's claims are true, and I think it's fair to say that they might be, given the support he's now getting from huge organisations, including the government of Canada, Israel, and now even the USA itself, who for 25 years pretty much denied he existed. If these aliens can generate gravity, there's almost unlimited possibilities here. Generating a directional gravity wave would enable faster than light travel, relatively speaking. I know that sounds mad, but gravity warps space and time, so by using gravity to bend space, and these vehicles can then hop between two spots, bending reality around them, so a 12 parsec trip, that's nearly 40 years at the speed of light, could be done in a lunch break and back again without really breaking a sweat. And what about time travel? Well, it's possible, but perhaps that's something for another video. Share this video with your friends. I'd love to get their and your opinion on this. I'd love them to see it. If you'd like this video, please click that like button. It tells YouTube that it was a good video and more people should see it. If you would like to see some more of this kind of stuff, click on that subscribe button and ding that bell. By dinging the bell, you will never miss out on another video or anytime I go live. A huge shout out to these amazing people. They are my members and patrons from Patreon, and they make my job so much easier and more rewarding. If you'd like to be one of these amazing people, please join this channel for $1.99 a month by clicking on the link down in the description. I'll be back next time with some more magical awesomeness, but until next time, as always,
Stay magical.
Hey everyone, this is Bob Lazar. He's going to change the way you think about the universe. Universe? What's a universe? What's that?